Is your starter at peak? Do you know when your starter's at peak? Does it matter if it's at peak? Let me answer a few of those questions. Here's my starter. Is this starter at peak? What do you think? It smells really good. It has doubled. I just moved the jar around a lot, so while it was slightly doming a couple minutes ago, it's not doming anymore now. Are there any big bubbles on the surface? Kind of. A lot of these questions are subjective. If you like a really sour loaf, you might want to let your starter go as long as it starts to fall even. You might let it come to peak and let it fall for an hour or two and then use it. That means that the bacteria are more predominant and have a more sour balance to your starter, which means that your loaf might be more sour. Maybe you like using a young levain, which is a levain, or a young starter, which is a starter that is used earlier after being fed. You can use your starter in a really, really wide range of time. You don't have to rush to use it right at peak. And if you're not sure if it's at peak, a nice little trick you can do is to wrap a rubber band around wherever you think it's at peak. Leave it for another hour, and if it hasn't risen at all, it peaked. Sometimes starters that are thicker, or because of their flour used, or where you live, or the temperature, for all different sorts of reasons, sometimes starters stay at peak for a really long time. That's not a bad thing. It's nothing to be worried about. But it means that you might be using it several hours after it peaks. And if you use it a really long time after it comes to its full peak, which means that the yeast and some of the bacteria are no longer creating more gases, that means that the lactic acid bacteria and bacteria that make your starter sour and also that start to break up the gluten are more predominant in that. And maybe you don't want to use that. So it really depends on when you want to use it and what flavor you're going for. You can use your starter before it's totally peaked. It'll still work for you. It'll create a more mild levain or starter flavor, but it also means that some of this is just flour that hasn't been fermented yet, so it might take your dough a little longer to rise. I've also noticed that with a starter that's more acidic, more active, like you've left it longer and is more sour, you might get a more wild oven spring. I think a lot of places that are making super, super hydrated bread with a lot of whole grains are probably using like a very whole wheaty and rye starter, and are maybe using it when it's a little bit on the more acidic side. All of this is subjective, just like most sourdough baking. You don't have to be so worried about it. As long as you're letting your starter rise until it doubles, it should be totally fine to use. Maybe your starter triples sometimes. That's super cool. It doesn't mean you have to wait until it's tripled. You don't have to wait until it's falling. The biggest tip I'll give you for your starter is don't neglect it, especially if it's hot where you live. Don't feed it 1-1-1 once a day. It needs a higher ratio so it doesn't become overly acidic. Doesn't mean you have to feed it every time it comes to peak. Doesn't mean you have to baby it every day, but I would at least give it a 1-5-5 once a day, or if you live in a really warm climate, maybe twice a day. You can always put it in the fridge if that seems too complicated. I'd rather that you bake bread that is from unfed fridge starter than you throw in the towel and say, I can't do this anymore. If you want to be super intense about it, you can feed your starter once or twice a day. That's what I do. And this one barely smells like anything. It's just like good to go. It's yeasty. It smells a little bit like yogurt, a little floral.